Hi everyone, it's Sherry from Queen City Stamper. I wanted to share one last Christmas project with you. I'm using Newton's Holiday Mischief, and I'm going to be stamping on a gift card envelope. These are from Simon Says Stamp, and I wanted to test my Copic coloring on the envelopes. They are pretty thin. Um, but really surprised me when I used my Copic markers. So I'm going to be using this little Newton with the scarf, and I'm going to stamp him twice using my Misty. And then I'm going to take just a scrap piece of paper, cardstock, whatever, and I'm going to put down inside the envelope so it doesn't bleed through to the other side or the back side of the envelope. So here I'm taking just a regular pencil and I'm mapping out uh, the areas of the kitty that I want to be a black. Um, my inspiration for this was a picture of a dear friend's kitty. His name's Leonard, and he is all white with a couple of patches of black on his face, his tail, and one spot on his back. So I wanted to color this to look like Leonard, and I'm going to put a gift card in here and give it to them for Christmas. So I started with my C7 and just mapping in a little bit of the dark color, and then I'm coming in with my C5 and I'm going to blend that out, and I'm just barely touching the paper, just a really light hand. And then I'm not going back up into that C7 very much because I don't want to oversaturate everything and risk everything bleeding. But like I said earlier, I am really surprised at how well these envelopes were able to um, hold on to the Copic coloring without bleeding. So again, just putting in my darker color and then coming back in with the C5 just to smooth that out and fill the rest of it in. This image is pretty small, so there was only one area or a couple of areas in which I actually used more than two colors. Here I'm coming in with my C1. I forgot to put the cap up there. And I'm just putting this in the areas where I think there would be shadows. So obviously around his leg, between his toes, under the scarf. And then I'm going to blend that out a little bit with my C0. And then I'm going to come back in with my colorless blender and kind of smooth that out. Though this is supposed to be a white kitty, white kitties still have shadows, so I'm going to put those in there. And I did get a little bit of bleed, but I'll take my colorless blender and go in and push that back. So I'm going to finish up his face and his ears with a little C1, same combination. C0, and then come back in and blend that out with the colorless blender. And still trying to knock that little bit of gray back. But in the end, I was able to push that back and you couldn't tell at all. So I'm going to use a little R20 for the inside of the ears and for the nose. And then I like to go back over that with the C0, especially in the ears, just to kind of tone down that pink a little bit. It's very subtle, but I think it's effective. So now I'm going to be moving on to the scarf. And this was where I was really nervous because reds are the worst for bleeding. But I am just barely kissing this paper with the tip of that marker. And now I'm going to use R29 and just hit the edges of the R37. And then I'm going to come back in with the R24 and fill in the highlight area. And then I'm going to continue down the scarf, same 3 colors. And then for the light space in the middle. And now I'm just going to come back with my C1 and do the white stripes. No, I'm sorry, that's my C0. So a little C0 and then a little colorless blender. And then I did get a little bit of bleeding with the red markers. But the C0 and the colorless blender will help push that back a little bit. And you can see here that it did not bleed through to the back of the envelope because I had that piece of cardstock. So I chose the Meowie Christmas. And this Meowie Christmas stamp, I had issues with it before. The M is a little off, and the exclamation point does not have the point. But I can fix that with my Copic multiliner. And that's it for my envelope. And there's Leonard. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. Bye now.